I have a Mauer NW4 that Georgia Jim loaned me in a big old bunch of locks. This lock has 6 pins on the top. Some of the driver pins are spooled, and 4 sliders on the bottom that they're kind of like wafers. They go into the sides of the plug. Um, this one is pretty difficult in that the spools don't isolate from the sliders, so you'll set everything on the top pins, but the spools won't bind yet. So you got to set some sliders. You set the sliders, then you'll get counter rotation from the spools. But while you're setting the spools, the sliders are not sprung and they'll move around. So you got to set those again, and you have to keep going back and forth, back and forth. So to keep things a bit shorter is I will go ahead and preset those spools. I'll say it when I do it, and that way I only have to set the sliders once. But as you are figuring the lock out, etc., you're going to be probably going back and forth quite a few times picking it. So I just have a multi-pick Z-bar tensioner here that I'll put on the side, and I have this Honest Dongshi pick. It's been ground down to a thin tip. This is the original thickness over here, and that's just to get the size I want with a tall flag, because this first pin here is an interactive, and so I'll lift it up, and at the top of the keyway it's still not set. I have to keep going above the keyway, and then I finally get a click there. So number 2 is springy, 3 is springy, 4 is binding, and there's a click really high up, so that's like a max lift. 5 is spring but then hard stop, so that's probably one of my spools. And then 6 is binding, little click there. Come back to beginning, check my interactive, make sure it's still set. A lot of times that interactive will come unset. And I know, as I noticed, number 5 is actually one of my spools. I'm gonna, even though I have a bit of spring here, and you wouldn't normally touch this, I know from picking this previously that it is a spool, so I'll counter rotate a bit and I'll set 5, and that will have dropped something. So I'll come back to the beginning. 1, 2, 3. Maybe it didn't. 6. And then the other one, let's see if I can feel it. Is 3. 3 is also spool, but it's not ready to be. It's not ready to be preset. In that you can lift it all the way up and you don't feel it hit any stop on the way up. So it could just be that my interactive is fallen a little. Does not appear to have. 3, 4. It could be 4 fell a bit. Doesn't seem so. Could be 5. I didn't lift high enough when I was presetting the spool. That's probably the case right there. Come back again. Seems that 1 is now binding a little. Little click there. 2, 3, 4 is now binding pretty hard. Click there. So it was that 5 wasn't lifted high enough on the presetting the spool. So now I did all this. I know that, okay, 3 is now hitting something, and then I preset that spool. So let's just make sure that everything is set. So we'll jiggle test 1. Hard to tell with this interactive, but it doesn't seem, yeah, I think it's jiggling there. This is a lot of times where I'll get my my pick eaten while I'm checking these things. 3. Those clicks are probably, if you hear clicks, it's probably my pick slipping off of the pin. All right, I'm gonna let off tension a little bit, let something drop just to, before I move on to sliders. I want to make sure everything up top is set properly. So 3, lifting 3. I think 3 fell a little, or wasn't set properly. And oh, I almost got my pick eaten again. Hopefully I get it eaten one time while I'm picking this so I can show you how I free it. And I'm looking to drop into a bit of a false set. Just a little bit of 1 that tells me I'm ready to work on my sliders. So 1, 2, and I have a feeling that I don't have 3 set properly is my feeling. And I've been eaten. Okay, so at this point I can't get my pick out. It's stuck behind a pin. So I'll just go in with any other pick, and I'll go and try to find the offending pin and lift it, and that will allow my pick to rotate back. So it was stuck up like this, and it let it rotate flat horizontal again, and I was able to pull it out. So drop something, and let's see. 2, 3. So 3 had dropped again. But I have this feeling I'm not setting 3 properly, or something's going on with 3. One, 2. I want to set 3 but not get eaten by 3. And I get eaten by 4. So I'll just go back in with the hook again. Fiddle around until I see that pick drop back down again, and I can get it out. Crazy thing. I'm going to reach around the back just to hold the tensioner a little bit more comfortably. Doesn't really affect the pick at all, just affects comfort. Alright, I think 3's set. I think 4's set. I think 5's set. 6 is just loose. So something is either overset or not. It's stuck at the fat part of a spool. 4, 5. Click from 6. Dropped into a bit of a false set, but let's check 3 because I think 3 might be dropped down. Yep. So I want to make sure 3 is set. So 2, 3, past the spool area. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. A little click from 1 there. Just making sure that the interactive is set all the way up. And I got swallowed again by 4. Go back in with a pick. Kind of just rummage around until you find it. I should have actually used the key first and then moved all the sliders to the right. See if I can move them to the right now if they're still moving, just to get them in a standard state where I can pick from. Sorry, it's not the best tutorial, I guess. I should have said at the beginning you want to move all the sliders to a known state all the way to the right. They don't all go all the way to the right because they're different lengths on the sides of the slider, so they only go right so far. So they're actually going to be staggered a bit in there once you move them, once you try to move them all to the right. But I don't feel like I'm in the proper false set right now. So pin 1. All right, I definitely see jiggle at the top. I don't see the actual pin, but I see the pick move a little bit while I feel pin spring resistance. Just don't have the angle I'd like to have picking with the camera on my head. It's like touching the left side of my head, the camera, and I keep getting stuck this way too. In my office, I don't get stuck like this as often. I do get stuck, but not like every time I put the pick in like this. There we go. Freedom. I'm going to feel some sliders. I don't think we're at that point. I think there's still something stuck about the top, but we'll go ahead and feel some sliders. So I'll go ahead and start at the back. And that back one just moved like nothing, so it's not the binder. Third one moved like nothing. Second one's moving like nothing, as is the first. So yeah, we're not at the sliders yet. And this is one thing about this lock, is it gets this, there's really high lifts in it, and I'm pretty sure that one of those is just not lifted high enough. I'm having a hard time lifting it high enough without getting my pick eaten. So 3. I think I feel spring there. It's hard to tell with the high lifts. I think that's spring on 4. And spring on 3, I think. Got eaten again. Jiggle this around. There we go. No. Free. Free it up again. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 6 is loose, so something is obviously not set right. All right, I'll let go two pins. So first one is dropped. Pin 1 is set. 2. Pin 3. Pin 4, 5. Light click out of 6. Go back to 1. 1's definitely high enough. 4, 5. Yep. So 1 is definitely jiggling. I think 3 is jiggling. I'm going from the right side now, just to not get my pick eaten. The problem with going down the side is you have like nothing to guide your pick here. I'm going down the left wall here. I'm just kind of floating nowhere, so it's hard to keep your pick lined up. What is holding me up at this point? I'm trying to get that false set, but it's not giving it to me. There's 3. There's 6. So I think it was 3. I kept saying 3, and now I think we're in false, deep enough false set where I can go after the sliders finally. So I'm going to put in this other tensioner on the left, so I can work the tensioners here on the right. I'll start at the way back. That one looks like it's jiggling back and forth. The third one seems okay. The second one, no. And the first one, no. Let's see this fourth one. Seems okay. Third one seems okay. All right, let's try pushing some of them to the right. Maybe like the fourth one, I definitely saw it jiggling back and forth as I went and pushed it from the right side, and then I kind of used the tip to push it to the right. So I pushed it like that. If this is the little nub. So let's see the front ones. They don't want to move. They don't want to move. So there is another pin here that I'm guessing is like some sort of T-pin or something, the second pin, and it will have to be set after you set all the sliders. And there we go. So there it was. If there was more from the sliders, I would have saw it drop into more and more false sets as you set sliders. But we got the open in any case. And the key is right here. Has some passive pins along the side. But there's the key. So we'll go ahead and take a look inside. Get our autofocus on. Some tools. All right, first step. I haven't gutted this one yet, so let's take a look. There we go. Have a shim. Always good to use a shim when it's not your lock or it's a lock you don't know. This one's both. Put that one in nicely. And slide that out. Now there's probably passives on this right, and I don't know how the sliders are held in. So I'm going to put my fingers all over the place. Okay, the sliders are held in by the key. Let's take out some top pins. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So there's our key pins. They look just like they're just standard key pins. There might be a little bit of a torpedo to them, but I don't believe so. No, looks like just standard key pins. Passive pins. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just passive pins. These are for key control. They didn't come into effect at all during picking, but I guess if you push on them while you're pushing on them, you probably couldn't turn the plug. There's 3 pins or something here on the bottom. They don't seem to want to come out at all. I wonder if they're just plugs or something. All right, let's pull this key out. They might be, there should be for the passive element something in number 1. I don't know what these other 1, 2, 3, 4 are. But let's get these sliders out. Here's number 4. Coming out. All right, so There's the nub that you manipulate. And it's got some little dimple here for whatever reason. It's got one poking out and one poking in. I don't know what that's about. It's just no false gates. It's just going to stick out the sides into the cylinder from what I can tell. You see how they'll stick out a bit and they'll stop you from being able to turn the lock or turn the plug. Let's get the next one out. Sides go out. Go out this side. Nope, goes out the other side. This is slider number 3. Slider number 2. And 1. 2. And 1. So I know they go in that way with the plug facing that way. This first element here, there's a spring down here. I think, yep, there's a spring right there that pushes up on that element and allows the key to be lifted higher than the keyway. So that thing will push up from below and lift that piece. Come on, where are you? Right there. Get in there. All right, and that lifts that above the keyway like that. Hopefully you can see that coming up. That's that interactive element. So then going onto the Bible, there were spools I felt in there, like I mentioned, on 3 and 5. I don't know about any other chambers, but I felt them on 3 and 5. So there's one is a standard, normal spring. 2 is some sort of a T-pin. Oh yeah, I mentioned that. It felt like a T-pin of some sort. I had to push it at the very end to open the lock. So that makes sense on number 2. 3, I felt a spool that I preset. Indeed, spool. I felt it when I was picking it before, going back and forth between the sliders and that. 4 is just a standard. And then I just knew during this picking run that I should preset it. I'm going to go to 6. 6 is a standard. And 5 should be our other spool. Yep. So 5 is our other spool there. See if there's anything special about the plug chambers. Which one are these? These are the plug chambers. These are the passives, and these are the plug chambers. So nothing special there. That is the Mauer NW4. Get a little bit closer on these. Thanks everyone. Bye.